Hello, Planet Earth. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. We are, of course, at IDK, my BFF Jill, 730. I'm Preston L. Young, and today it's time for another Buffy discussion. Today's Buffyverse discussion is going to be on Amy Madison, one of the most powerful mages within the Buffyverse. Amy actually starts off as a very endearing character. We're introduced to her in Season 1, the first episode after the two-part premiere called Witch. And Amy, Buffy meets her when she's trying out for the cheerleading squad because Amy's mother wants her to try out for the cheerleading squad. And we find out that Amy's mother is quite literally living vicariously through her teenage daughter because she is taking over her body and stuff like this. So whatever, they stop Amy's mom and they actually trap Amy's mom inside of this trophy so that she can relive her golden years forever and ever. So, in Season 2, we find out that even though Amy is now living with her father since her mother's all gone, she's actually started picking up on her mother's old tricks. She starts doing magic, and it's pretty harmless at first. She's just using it to make her teachers think that she's done her homework when she hasn't, and so Xander catches her using magic and basically blackmails her into casting a spell on Cordelia to make her fall back in love with him, because she had just dumped him or whatever. So the spell backfires, and all the women in Sunnydale, including Drusilla, they all fall head over heels in love with Xander. And so Amy is actually part of this. All the women except for Cordelia fall for Xander. It's ironic. So Amy is one of these women, and she actually turns Buffy into a rat when they start fighting over Xander. So we see right on in Season 2 that Amy is a pretty powerful witch. Then after they de-rat Buffy in Season 3, there's this whole episode about censorship and book burning, and basically all of the parents in Sunnydale, they go crazy because the demonic energy that basically masquerades as Hansel and Gretel convinces all the parents in town that they need to get rid of the Slayers and the witches, etc., etc. So they get Willow and Buffy and Amy, and they've got them in the town hall, and they're going to burn them all at the stake. And Amy is like, oh, well, you want to see a witch? And she invokes Hecate and turns herself into a rat and escapes. And so Willow is unable to kind of de-rat Amy, and so she spends the rest of Season 3 as a rat. And then in Season 4, she actually becomes a person for a split second because Willow had cast this spell on herself to make her will be done, and she just kind of casually talked about the fact that Amy was a normal girl, and when she wasn't looking, Amy actually became a normal girl, and then poof, she was a rat again, and so she became a rat again. And so we don't actually see Amy again until Amy proper. We see Amy the rat here and there. But Season 5 is the only season without Amy other than Season 9 in the comic books. And so in Season 6, after Willow and Tara have a big falling out, when Tara's like, oh, girl, you're using too much magic, Willow doesn't really have anybody to play magic with, and she's kind of doubting herself, and she's looking at Amy thinking, oh, well, I'm supposed to be a great big witch, and I can bring people back from the dead, but I can't even make you into a person if you were a rat. And then it's like, oh, shit, I can bring people back from the dead. I can make Amy into a person and not a rat again. So she just, blah, 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 and wham, bam, poof, she turns Amy back into a person. So Amy takes a while to adjust to being a person again, but when she does, she's like, hey, Willow, I'll play magic with you all the time. And so they go out on the town, and they're playing magic, and Willow gets all wiped out from magic, and so Amy introduces her to this guy that she apparently used to run with called Rack. And Rack basically is like a crack dealer or a heroin dealer, whatever. He gives people magic. And so Willow gets all kind of caught up in this magic stuff and ends up hurting Dawn and herself. And so she tells Amy to stay away from her because she's trying to wean herself off of magic. And so Amy is really spurned by this. She doesn't like this. And we find out in Season 8 comic books that after this, Amy started following Willow around, stalking her. And so it was because of Amy's stalking of Willow that she actually found out about Willow's whole issue with Warren. And when Willow ripped off Warren's skin, it wasn't Willow that made him go flash bam poof and disappear. It was apparently Amy. I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but that's the story. So Amy flash bam poofed Warren away, and she put some magic over him to act as his skin. So technically he died for a split second or two, so that we could use the excuse of the first appearing as Warren. I don't like it, but that's the story. And so Amy then in season 7 had cast a hex upon Willow to make her feel guilty about the fact that Tara had died. Basically, she cast a hex on her that whenever Willow kind of stopped thinking about Tara, she would turn into Warren. And we're led to believe that this was Willow's subconscious doing it, because Amy claimed that she wasn't creative enough. But I believe personally that Amy actually put Warren inside of Willow so that he would come out and basically use Willow's flesh to become his own and actually come to be physically. But that's all conjecture, so take that as you will. So then, of course, at the end of season 7, Spike down in the Hellmouth, and the whole thing implodes, and apparently Amy and Warren were still down there. So at the beginning of season 8, pardon me. So at the beginning of season 8, we find out that the U.S. government is out to kind of get Buffy, because we find out later that the reason they're doing this is because Buffy and a group of Slayers actually robbed a Swiss bank, and they're abusing their power to fund, Buffy's whole Slayer army. And so they go down to the Hellmouth. They're doing studies down there. The U.S. government and the military are kind of studying what's going on down there, and they find Amy and Warren down in the crater of the Hellmouth. And so far as we can tell, they were eating the other people who were trapped under there. Crazy. And during this time, Amy and Warren kind of became an item. They're in love, or whatever they call love. So, the government finds them down there, and Amy and Warren both agree to help the government go after Buffy and Willow. And everybody, because they don't like them. So, Amy shows up in Scotland, where Buffy was staying with her squad of Slayers, and goes about trying to wreak havoc on Buffy. She casts a spell on her that makes her stay asleep until she's awakened by the kiss of true love, which is given to Buffy by blah, blah, blah. I'll get into that later. So, Willow shows up out of nowhere, takes care of Amy real quick, undoes all of her magic stuff, and they keep Amy trapped down in the dungeons of this Scottish castle that Buffy and company are staying in. And so then it turns out that it's a trap. Amy actually sucks Willow through this portal into under Sunnydale, where this great big government base is operating. And so there they are keeping Willow trapped under these magical siphons that won't allow Willow to use her magic. The more powerful she becomes, the easier it is for them to drain away this power from her. And so Willow is rescued by Buffy and Satsu when they flash bam poof go over and break into this military organization and stop them. And the thing about it is Amy and Warren, of course, get away. And so Amy and Warren actually spend the rest of season 8 working with the masked figurehead of Twilight, which I will talk about in my Twilight video. It's Angel. Ugh, spoiler alert. Twilight's Angel. So, so there was this one point where they both kind of worked together, Amy and Warren. He built this bomb, and she did all this magical crazy to it. And they bombed the Scottish base that Buffy's Slayers were in, while Buffy and Willow had gone to New York. Dawn and Xander were there, obviously with a bunch of other Slayers, but there were very few casualties. Most of them got away. Most of them were okay. Then later on, all of the Buffy, Kennedy, Giles, Faith, Dawn, Xander, Satsu, everybody, they all kind of have to run away from the forces of Twilight because they had hidden themselves with magic, but the magic that they were using to hide themselves was still there. And so actually Amy and Twilight and the government, they actually were not tracking Buffy and Willow. They were actually looking for the magic that was covering them up. Smart. And so they find them, and so Buffy and company have to retreat to Tibet. So they go to Tibet where Oz is, and they try and stop using magic because that's how they're being tracked by Twilight. So then Amy actually magics herself into a cat and goes and spies on them as they're in Tibet with Oz trying to get rid of their magic. And at this point, they have like this really big conflict with Twilight. And after this, Amy and Warren and this other like military guy, they all kind of like were separated from the rest of the forces of Twilight. Now at this point, Buffy is starting to get fucking superpowers. And Buffy comes upon Amy and Warren and this military guy. Now keep in mind, Warren is still without his skin. Like, Amy's magic is the only thing that's keeping him together. And they kind of take Amy and Warren and this military guy hostage. So Amy and Willow have to work together to do this magical crazy cray and try and stop Twilight. But that's not going to work because Twilight is inevitable. So after the gears of Twilight really start going into motion, Amy and Warren kind of escape the military people who are kind of keeping them under their thumb, and they run off to Paris. Now, the events that go down at the Seat of Wonder are horrific for Warren because when Buffy destroys the Seat of Wonder and our connection to magic is lost, Warren falls apart, he goes splat, and Amy is devastated. And the whole thing is like, Amy and Warren, they were always bickering back and forth, but I never really got the impression that they were in love. But apparently they were, because now over in Magic Town in London, Amy has shown up in Angel, now in season 10, trying to get Angel to help her to resurrect Warren because there's all this magic in Magic Town, and there's like all the potential in the world to make Warren again. She's got this like jar of Warren's innards and stuff, which doesn't even make sense because like, where is his skeleton? Did she magic him like a skeleton away? It doesn't make sense. Like, he would have a full skeleton even though he doesn't have skin. So I don't really buy this whole jar of Warren thing anyway, but we'll let it be because it's Buffy and we love you. So she tries to get Angel to help her to resurrect Warren because she knows that he resurrected Giles, which was supposedly impossible in a world without magic at the time. So the magic within Magic Town is really like off the charts crazy potent because of this magical bomb that Whistler had set off with Pearl and Nash. And it's boom, like potent. It's very powerful. And so Angel, of course, refuses to help Amy, but she decides that she doesn't really need him, and she just blows him off, and she tries to like attack him with magic, but Angel gets away, and as he gets away, he steals her jar of Warren, and then he kind of ransoms it. So he talks to this detective guy in London who's trying to like help Angel out with getting everything in Magic Town under control. So he and this detective guy, they like form a plan and they get Amy to meet Angel in this like warehouse situation where Angel says that he's going to give her her jar of Warren and she's going to leave town because she needs to get out of his place. So he meets Amy there and Amy says, really? And Angel's like, well, I brought backup. And she goes, and we see that the police are all outside, whatever. And Amy is not threatened by this. She goes, really? The police are your backup? You're just going to get these people killed. And he goes, oh, no. They're just here to make sure this all stays contained. This is my backup. And it's like this crazy fucking giant spider demon called the Najikot. And the Najikot starts attacking Amy or whatever, and she starts using magic. But Angel explains to her that this particular giant spider demon eats magic, and You're not really going to be able to defeat him. She says, oh, he eats magic, huh? Well, do you know what happens when you eat too much Halloween candy? And she just picks up this like bottle of potion and throws it. She says, you get a tummy ache. And the Najikot demon explodes. Now, the whole reason that Amy says that she's in London and trying to like work with all of the Magic Town magic is because she figures that once she can master this really super magic that's in Magic Town, she can defeat Willow. Now, I understand that Willow doesn't really have anybody who's on her level to be a nemesis for her, but why is Amy's only motivation Willow? We're not in high school anymore. We're not even in Sunnydale anymore. I don't understand why Amy has to have this vendetta against Willow just so that she can be like having a point. I don't understand it. It's kind of sophomoric. But basically, Amy just wants to kill Willow for some reason, and she's been keeping tabs on her with her like crystal ball of potions or whatever. And that's pretty much what's going on with Amy right now. I'm telling you this as of Lost and Found Part 4. Part 5 hasn't come out yet, so I don't know what's actually going to happen with Amy. But that's what she's been up to within the Season 8 comic books, and really since the beginning. So that's everything you need to know about Amy Madison. Comment, like, subscribe, question, etc. Share me too. And I'll talk to you later. Have a great day.